Hi, this is Matt with AppliancePartsPros.com. Today we'll be showing you how to repair your appliance. Remember, anytime you work on an appliance, make sure it's unplugged or the circuit breakers are off so there's no chance of electrocution. Also make sure you turn off your hot and cold water supplies. In this video we're going to show you how to change out the Samsung washer shock absorber. It's going to be a very easy repair and should only take a few minutes to show you how to do it. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can click on the link below or get it at AppliancePartsPros.com. When you open up the package, you're going to get the new shock absorber. The shock absorbers are located on the bottom of the tub and they help prevent the tub from banging around. The main reason you'd be changing them out is if they've gone bad and your washer is going out of balance. Before we take the machine apart, we have to remove the 3 screws along the bottom and disconnect the drain hose from its little holder. Remember, the machine is heavy, so if you need to get somebody to help you, make sure you do. But we're going to tilt the washer back and put a block of wood underneath it to support it. We're going to use our Phillips screwdriver to remove the 3 screws. Now that we have the screws out, we can remove the wooden block. Make sure you get somebody to help you if you need to. We can open up this access cover and remove the drain line so we can pull it out later when we pull the front panel off. Once you have it out of its little clip, you can just close the door again. In order to get to the part, we have to take off the top of the washer. We're going to use our Phillips screwdriver to remove the screws. Now that we have the screws out, we can take the top off. All you have to do is pull it back about an inch or so, far enough so these locking tabs come out, and then you can lift it off and set it aside. With the top out of the way, we can remove the detergent drawer. All you have to do is pull it out and press this little button right here to release it. Once you have it released, you can pull the drawer out and set it aside. Now that we have the detergent drawer out of the way, we can use our Phillips screwdriver to remove these 2 screws so we can push the whole dispenser back. With the screws out, we can push this back so it clears the opening. Now we can take off the control panel. There's a couple tabs along the top, so all you have to do is kind of lift up on the plastic and pull towards the front of the washer. Once you have them released, you can rotate the panel forward so we can disconnect the 2 wiring harnesses. To disconnect the wiring harnesses, all you have to do is press on the tab to release them and pull them apart. With the wiring harnesses disconnected, we can pull the console off. With the control panel out of the way, we can open up the washer door so we can remove the screws that hold the door switch and lock assembly in. We're going to use a Phillips screwdriver and remove all 3. Now that we have the door switch unmounted, we can take the outer spring clamp out. There's usually a spring down at 6 o'clock. We're going to take a small flathead screwdriver and carefully get underneath it. Once we have it pried out, we're going to go counterclockwise and take the clamp off the seal. With the clamp off the door boot seal, we're going to pull it out of its channel and kind of get it off the front panel. Now we can close the door and remove these 4 screws that hold the top of the panel in. We're going to use our Phillips screwdriver to take them out. Now that we have the screws out, we're going to open up the door again, and we have to lift up the front panel to get it off these 2 tabs right here. To get the front panel off, we're going to lift it up just a little bit so we see these tabs, the white panel, come up over the tabs. Once you have it released, you want to be careful to not let it drop because the door wants to pull it down. We have to reach in and release these hoses out of these clips right here. There's one here and there's one at the bottom. All you have to do is pull it out carefully. Sometimes the whole tab will come right off. That's okay, you can just leave it on there. And then we have to lower it down a little bit more so we can pull that drain hose out that we took out of its mounting clip. With the hoses out of the way, we can lift the front panel off the 3 brackets on the bottom. Once you have it released, you can set it aside. Now that we have the front panel off, we have access to the shock absorbers. There's one located on each side in the front. To change the ones in the rear, you have to go around to the back and remove the access panel with a Phillips screwdriver. With the screws out, we can remove the access panel. You're going to lift up on it and then pull the bottom out. Once you have it out, you can set it aside. Now that we have access to the shock absorbers, to remove the bolts, we're going to use a socket with a long extension and access them through these holes. All 4 of them have a hole on the bottom that you can take the screw out with. For the upper screws, on this one you can reach with the same socket, and the one on the back right behind this one, you can access that bolt through the shipping bolt hole. But both upper bolts on the left side, you're going to have to get with a 13mm wrench. To remove the lower bolt, we're going to go through this hole just like we pointed to earlier. We're going to use a ratchet with a long extension and a 13mm socket. Once you have the bolt out, you can reach in and pull it out of the shock absorber. And then we can take out the upper one. Make sure you don't lose the washer when you pull the bolt out. Once you have the upper and lower bolts out, you can compress the shock absorber and pull it out. The rest of the shock absorbers are changed out the same way. Here's the old shock absorber next to the new one. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can get it at appliancepartspros.com. To put the shock absorber in, all you have to do is line it up with the bracket and wiggle it into place so it's lined up so the bolt will go through it. And then we can take our 13mm socket and put the bolt back in. You might have to wiggle it around to get it to start through the back. Once you have it tightened down, we can put the upper bolt in. All you have to do is pull the shock absorber over and line it up here. And you may have to stretch it out a little bit so it goes up and twist it to get it to go in. Once you have the bolt hole lined up so it'll go all the way through, we can put it back in and tighten it down with our socket. When you're done changing the shock absorbers in the front, you can put the front panel back on the mounting tabs. We can stick that drain hose back into the housing. And then we'll slowly lift up the panel and either reclip or remount this onto the front panel. Once you have the hoses in, we can carefully push the panel up into place and make sure these 2 locking tabs snap in. Once you have the front panel pushed into place, we can put the 4 screws back in. We're going to use our Phillips screwdriver to put those back in. Now that we have the front panel on the washer, we can open the door back up. And we have to reach inside the door boot seal and grab the door switch assembly and line it up so we can put the screws in. We're going to use our Phillips screwdriver to put the screws in. As you're putting the first one in, you're going to have to reach inside and hold the switch in place. Now that we have the door switch mounted, we can put the door boot seal on. Remember, you have to put this lip right here, right in the channel. We have to go around the whole door and make sure it's in there properly. Once you go around and you're sure you have it in the channel, we can put the outer spring clamp back on. To put the clamp on, we're going to put the clamp down at 6 o'clock. Once you have the spring in there, we're going to hold it in place and then go around and put the spring clamp into the groove. Once you get over here to about 3 o'clock, it's going to be kind of hard to get on. We're going to hold it there and then grab the spring clamp with our locking pliers. And we want to pull out this way towards the side of the machine. If you pull out to the front, it's just going to pull the clamp right off. So just pull to the side and then put it into the channel. Once you have the spring clamp in place, we can close the door again so we can put the console on. To put the console back on, we have to line these locking tabs with these little holes. So when we put it up into place, they're lined up. So once you have it started, we're going to tilt it up a little bit, and then we're going to reconnect the harness wires. To reconnect the harness wires, all you have to do is match them up. There's two different sizes, so you can't mix them up. Just make sure you push them back together so they get a good connection and lock in place. With the wire harnesses connected, you want to carefully push the console up, making sure that the harnesses go through the hole, and then you can snap it into place onto this frame. Now we can put the detergent housing back into the opening. All you have to do is reach in and guide it forward so it comes out through the control panel. Once you have it in place and the screw holes lined up, we can use our Phillips screwdriver to put the screws back in. We can put the detergent drawer back in. All you have to do is line it up on its rails and push it back in so the tab locks. Once you have it in there, you can push it all the way in. To reinstall the washer top, we can set it down just like when we took it off, about an inch or so away from the tabs. Once you have them lined up, we can push it forward so it goes all the way in. Now that we have the top in place, we can use our Phillips screwdriver and put the screws back in. Now that we have everything else put back together on the washer, we can lift it up and use that wood block to support it so we can put the 3 screws in at the bottom. Remember to get somebody to help you if you need to, because the machine is heavy. We're going to use our Phillips screwdriver to put the 3 screws back in. Now that we have the screws in, we can take the block out. Make sure you get somebody to help you if you need to. We can open up this panel and put the drain hose back in its retainer clip. Once you have it in place, you can close the door. If you're done changing the shock absorbers in the rear, you can put the access panel back on. All you have to do is line up the upper tabs and push the panel all the way up, and then push the bottom down and make sure the tabs are in their slots, and then lower the panel down so the screw holes line up, and we can use our Phillips screwdriver to put the screws back in. Now that we have the washer put back together, we can plug it back in, turn the water back on, and take it for a spin. Thanks for joining us for another successful repair brought to you by AppliancePartsPros.com. Check out our other repair videos on our site, Facebook, and YouTube.